is September 12th, and we're on pages 24 and 25. It's day 2 of the biography lesson for this month, and our topic this month is Makoto Shinkai, Anime Master.Yeah,
我们要接续昨天的话题哦，继续跟各位介绍一下新海诚这位日本新生代的动画大师。我们昨天呢，简单的介绍了一下他的成长背景，工作了5年期间，他自己有出产自己的动画《他与他的猫》。后来1999年的时候呢，他出完这个之后，他慢慢到后来他有第2部《新之声》嘛，然后后来因为《新之声》拿到了这个补助款，他必须要在这2之间做个抉择，后来他离开了他的工作，好开始继续他的动画制作。今天我们要跟大家继续介绍很多跟他有关的事情。
All right, well, with that, let's take a quick break, hear the story, and when we come back, we'll begin paragraph
1.Makoto Shinkai, Anime Master. The work of Makoto Shinkai has always shown his unique style. He often writes, directs, and produces his own work. He is also heavily involved in the editing, color design, and photography process. One of the main features of a Makoto Shinkai film is the beautiful, realistic backgrounds. The backgrounds of his films often have more detail than the characters.And he includes his favorite locations from Japan. Many of his stories involve disasters or end-of-the-world situations. Adding these locations to his art is Shinkai's way to preserve them and keep them safe forever. Shinkai writes about teenage romances with great imagination. The main characters of his stories are usually young people.The themes of his stories also include loneliness, memory, and barriers. Nature is always a main topic, and more than one of his films are set in the Japanese rainy season. The cities, trains, parks, and stations of Japan are usually present. By mixing romance with science fiction, Shinkai provides viewers with human stories.that inspire people to feel deep emotions and imagine a different reality.
All right, friends, let's look right away at paragraph 1. The work of Makoto Shinkai has always shown his unique style.
好，我们来看第一段第一句话咯。他说 The work of Makoto Shinkai has always shown his unique style. 这个地方特别注意一下 unique 这个字 unique 就是独具风格的或是独树一帜的。他就说了他自己本身新海诚的作品呢一直都保有他独树一帜的风格。
Don't forget, because unique has that long U sound, like Y-O-U. We can say he has a unique style, 不要说 an unique style. And we have present perfect tense, because it's 从前到现在你一直都是看到 his special style that only he has or only some people have. Let's continue. He often writes, directs, and produces his own work.
好，再来我们看下一句话咯，他就告诉你说了 He often writes, directs, and produces his own work. 意思就是说他在自己呢本身他自己也写也编导，然后呢是自己去创作出他的动画作品，有点像是校长兼撞钟，什么都自己来亲力亲为的感觉。
I think this is an interesting idea because sometimes it's nice to have other people look at your work and give you ideas. Maybe you don't see a problem someone else sees.But sometimes your creative art, it's your baby, and you have a very strong opinion about what you want to make. And when you have a big team, you often have to compromise. So if you give me your opinion and I always ignore it, it was a 都不听 Antony 的建议, then why should you give me opinions at all? So maybe for Makoto Shinkai, he really likes to just follow his vision. And if other people like it,Great. And if you don't like it, well, that's okay too. But I want to make my art. This is kind of how I see it.
没错，老师刚刚用到一个非常重要的字，叫做 compromise. Compromise 的拼法是 C-O-M 后面接一个 promise， 但是它念成 compromise，compromise，compromise 就是妥协的意思。那如果说今天是一个动画，它本身有好多人的参与，到后来就变成是互相要有妥协，就变成是说哦，我想要这样，你想要那样。但是现在我们看到新海诚对于他的作品，他参与各个方方面面的部分，包含内容啦，包含音乐啦、美术啦各方面，他都希望能够参与，能够做出他属于他自己的作品，他想要表达他自己想要创造出来的这种东西。
He is also heavily involved in the editing, color design, and photography process. Okay, these are some tricky words for some easy things. Let's take a look.
没错，他这边提到说呢 ，he is also heavily involved。我们提一下 involve 这个字 ，be involved in 就是参与或是牵涉在什么什么里面，所以他呢，他其实积极的、很大量的参与 in the editing。好 ，editing 就是剪接、剪辑。好 ，color design 好，它的这种色彩的设计啦。And photography process， 还有这个 photography process 就是它的拍摄的过程啊等等，所有的过程它都是亲力亲为的参与的。
You already understand this. Think about some of the famous people you watch on YouTube. When they first started, they would write and direct and produce the work. And after they kind of planned it, they also had to cut the video and get it ready for YouTube.But after someone spends a long time on YouTube and they become more popular, they have a little more money, they will usually pay another person to edit or to change some small things, add in funny little things, because it takes a really long time. If you guys ever make your own videos, you know, writing the subtitles, editing, fixing little things, it takes a long time. And if you want to just make more videos, or you want to share your ideas, you don't want to spend a lot of time doing all this little stuff at the end. Makoto Shinkai is interesting because he wants to do it.
没有错。所以事实上，你如果说像老师刚刚讲到，你自己本身制作影片，你可能有做 YouTube 频道的话，你会发现到哇，好多东西啊，加字幕啊，放字卡啊，那个东西很多很细，很辛苦的。就像现在在拍摄我们的这个导演在后面就一直狂点头说，真的很累，好多事情哦，这种感觉。没错。
It takes a long time, and so he's special because he wants to do that, but he really loves his work and he wants to make sure it is what he wants it to be. So with that, let's take a quick break. And when we come back, we got paragraph 2. All right, friends, we're back with paragraph 2 and day 2 of our 2-day article on Makoto Shinkai. And let's get started. One of the main features of a Makoto Shinkai film is the beautiful, realistic backgrounds.
好，这一段呢，我们主要介绍是他的电影的一些特色。他告诉你说 ，One of the main features of a Makoto Shinkai film is the beautiful, realistic backgrounds. 好，在这里的话呢，我们先看一下，他这边提到说 one of the main features. 好 ，features 就是特点、特色。他想要介绍其中一项这个新海诚电影的特色呢，就是它美丽而又几乎很写实的这种 backgrounds。所以我刚刚最开始的时候，我记得昨天我跟大家讲到说，他的那个电影，你会觉得说，哦，好像是真的，然后但是又有点梦幻的感觉 ，a different reality。他这一段就在讲这个特点。
Yeah, when you look at she and her cat right away, you can see this is a person in his free time is drawing very beautiful and detailed backgrounds for his characters. It's funny because the cat is very simple looking. Yeah, the cat is very simple looking in a very realistic world. Let's continue to our next sentence. The backgrounds of his films often have more detail than the characters, and he includes his favorite locations from Japan.
好，再来他告诉你说了 ，the backgrounds of his films， 好，他的背景，他的这个片子的背景呢 ，often have more detail than the characters， 居然比人物的细节还要多哦。 And he includes his favorite locations from Japan. 他甚至是包含许许多多的这些日本重要的一些场景，好放在他的这个动画里头。我那个时候去查了一下，比方说像是你的名字好了，各位你可能有看过他们最后主角相遇的那个红色的那个阶梯，对不对？后来你去看了以后才发现到说，哦，原来是东京新宿的须贺神社。那甚至你还有去看到说，像他故事里面介绍的那个细手町，他的那个主角出生成长的地方，他的那个背景其实是长野县，也就是新海诚的家乡。
So do you think that are there places that you could think of from your hometown or just Taipei here or in Taiwan that you would want to include in a movie? Like, are there places you would think of like this?
我觉得那种感觉很像是你把你自己的一部分，就是你自己的回忆啊、成长背景过程，把它加到你的电影里头，变成是一个完全属于你的作品。我觉得是一个 signature.
Yeah, it is his style. I will say there are a few places that when I have walked around Taipei, they're not famous places. They're just like little alleys or honestly, when I go to work every day, I can walk on the big road, the main road, or I can walk behind the main road. And there's this beautiful little staircase with lots of trees. And I've always thought this place is really beautiful. And I took a picture of it and sent it to my family. I'm like, this is just this pretty little spot. And like, oh, okay, it's just some stairs and some trees. Maybe if you're not there, you can't see it. But there are some feelings in some little places like this, right?
没错，记录心情的地方，那个地方可能对别人来讲说，哦，不过就是什么而已。但是对你来说，那是别具意义的。那可能是你每天上班经过的地方，那可能是在那个地方你曾经有一些美好的回忆，你把它用这种方式记录下来，超酷的。
Yeah, it's a really beautiful 15 seconds that I walk through it, right?
没错。
Okay, here we go. Let's continue here. Many of his stories involve disasters or end-of-the-world situations.
好，还来告诉你说啦 ，many of his stories involve 这个地方特别注意一下，我们刚刚前面第一段的时候曾经提到说 be heavily involved， 对不对？那个是被动的用法，但这个地方呢它是主动，这个地方主动用法 involve 之后，你把它想成 include 这样的用法就可以了。他说很多他的故事呢都包含了 disasters 灾难 and or end of the world situations， 好，或者是这种世界末日的场景。那你看过你的名字，一定晓得，哎，对对对，好像有这样的状况。
yeah, that's one of them. Adding these locations to his art is Shinkai's way to preserve them and keep them safe forever.
好，他就告诉你说了。Adding these locations to his art， 好，把这些场景呢，把它加进到他的这个艺术作品里面、电影作品里头。Is Shinkai's way 是属于新海诚他自己的方式 to preserve them， 好，去保存 and keep them safe forever。想象一下那种感觉，就很像是这些地方可能慢慢的会逐渐的变化，甚至凋零，但是在他的动画里面却是不朽的，大概是这种感觉。
Yeah, I think so because. You know what's something I like to do? I try to find pictures of Taipei from like the 1980s and the 1990s. So I came to Taiwan in 2005 and to me, like I think actually the area around the Ivy League studios, Changchun and Negajabian, it hasn't changed too much. It hasn't changed too much. But when I look at pictures of this area from 1990, 1995, it does look really different. The people look different. The buildings look different. For me, I haven't seen a lot of change here. So I'm really interested in seeing the way Taipei used to look. And how did that place change? And now it's gone forever.
呀，没有错，老师呢是2005年来到台湾的嘛，所以1980、1990年这个台北车站这附近呢，其实变化是非常非常大的。所以老师有的时候会找机会去看看以前这附近的旧照片啦，看看以前的样貌跟现在是不是有什么不一样。所以这到后来就变成是，如果说今天他所那个新海诚所选的这些场景也会随着时空而改变。但如果你想要看看以前的时候这些场景长怎样，去看新海诚的作品就可以咯。
Yeah, that's a really good way to do it. All right, with that, let's take a quick break. And when we come back, we have our final paragraph. Hey friends, welcome back. We are on pages 24 and 25 of our magazine, and we are finishing our two-day story on Makoto Shinkai. Let's learn about some of his characters. Shinkai writes about teenage romances with great imagination.
好，我们来看最后一段的第一句话，他就告诉你说 Shinkai writes about teenage romances with great imagination. 好，在这边他告诉你说呢，他的这个主题呢，多半就是写那种青少年的爱情故事 ，romances。好，这个 romance 就是指爱情故事 with great imagination， 有丰富的想象力来写青少年的爱情故事。
Remember that the adjective for romance is romantic, so R-O-M-A-N-T-I-C. And Archie, when we have our adjective ending in IC, its adverb is a little strange. So 它调复就 becomes romantically, right? So 就是有 romantic 后面加 A-L-L-Y. So 你的 adjective IC 的结尾要调 adverb. You got to add that A-L-L-Y. So enthusiastic, enthusiastically, romantic, romantically.
Idealistic, idealistically.
Yeah, that's an annoying one, the A-L-L-Y. Pay attention to that adverb when you have it. When we say with great imagination, we really mean use here. We just say he uses a lot of imagination. Let's continue to our next sentence. The main characters of his stories are usually young people.
好，他就说了 ，the main characters of his stories， 他的故事里面的主角呢，好 ，main characters 就是主角的意思 ，are usually young people， 都是年轻人哦。
The themes of his stories also include loneliness, memory, and barriers.
好，他在这告诉你说，他所要去处理的这些主题都跟什么有关呢 ？The themes， 好，就是主题的意思 of his stories also include loneliness 孤独 memory 记忆 and barriers 那种障碍。很多时候你会看到类似像是门，比方说最近的这个2023年4月在台湾上映的，其实在日本的话2022年就上映的《铃芽之旅》，它讲到门 barrier， 它也是一种 barriers。好，所以在这里的话，你可以看到它不同的主题出现在它的这个动画片里头。
When you were a teenager, were you kind of a moody teenager? Were you upbeat? Were you kind of like lovesick?
I was kind of upbeat.
Upbeat, right? Were you?
Yeah.
I was kind of a moody, like lovesick teenager. I was easy. I didn't mind being really sad. I wasn't like angry. I was just really sad a lot, and I didn't mind being sad.
Okay.
So I see like these kind of teenage movies, and I see this moodiness. I understand it. As an adult, it's kind of funny to look back and think about that. Look at the art I loved and cared about as a teenager. And some of those things, I'm very happy I'm not that person anymore. But at that time, I was really happy just cover myself in sadness.
哦，哇！所以以前老师是一个那种多愁善感，甚至会觉得说啊，常常沉浸在一种比较悲伤的情绪的人。所以说到后来，如果说看到这些跟 barriers、跟 memory、跟 loneliness 有关主题的时候，他会觉得非常非常容易的去找到一种共鸣感吧。
Teenage romance, and there's a lot of things that you want as a teenager, but you can't do. And yeah, I'm happy. I was happy for those memories and those experiences. I'm also very happy they're very far in the past. So you were like a real upbeat teenager?
Yeah, kind of.
Yeah, okay, I can see that.
Yeah.
All right, let's continue to our next story, our next sentence. Nature is always a main topic, and more than one of his films are set in the Japanese rainy season. This is moody.
OK， 所以你看 nature， 它就告诉你说大自然呢is always a main topic， 也是它这个重要的一个主题哦。And more than one of his films are set in， 这个地方特别注意一下 ，are set in， 它的场景的设定很多呢，它的电影里面不止一部哦，场景的设定都是设定在 the Japanese rainy season， 其中我就想到可以包括像是《天气之子》。好，那比方说像是这个《铃芽之旅》前一部2019年的作品，还有呢就是《炎夜之庭》2013年作品，它都是跟雨季有关的，它的主题曲也是跟雨有关系的。
Yeah, man, I love this. This is a guy that makes movies that I would really appreciate. So I'll tell you a little secret. Now, we're not really recording on September 10th. We're recording kind of after a typhoon was nearby Taiwan. It's been a very rainy couple days. It's a very gray sky, and I've been really happy about it. So I turn off all the lights, and I open all the windows, and it's a very gray light. It's not a very bright light in my house or in my classroom, and I think it's so beautiful. I love it so much.
我懂你那种感觉，就是那种风雨天的时候，你听到那个风声、雨声，就是那种
Listen to the rain.
Yeah.
Yeah, you just watch the rain outside. And then someone walks in my classroom and turns on all the lights like, 你可以看到事情吗？ This is 那么黑暗。 I want it to be dark in here. Turn off my light. 你看不到事情，所以我不用看什么，我看窗户外。
没有错，没有错，感受那种悲伤，然后风这样子吹起来，
Yes.
有一种美感。
When we were online with Zoom a couple years ago with COVID, right? I would like open all the windows and let that gray light in my classroom. It was very dark and moody. I really liked that. I enjoyed that.
Let it rain.
Yeah. It was beautiful. I really liked it. Okay. It's very moody. Okay, let's continue here. The cities, trains, parks, and stations of Japan are usually present.
好，在这边的话，告诉你说的 cities 城市 trains 好火车 parks 公园 and stations 好很多的那种车站 of Japan 在很多这种地方 are usually present 你就是在它的动画里面可以常常看到这些日本的一些重要的地方啦知名的景点等等
Are usually present just means you can see the cities, trains, parks, and stations of Japan. By mixing romance with science fiction, Shinkai provides viewers with human stories that inspire people to feel deep emotions and imagine a different reality.
好，所以老师刚才在提到这个 by mixing romance 的时候，老师手有做这个动作，就是把两罐那种药，对不对？好，把它倒在一起，这样子好像科学家在调制东西一样。By mixing romance with science fiction， 它融合了这个爱情故事，还有那种科幻的这种元素。Shinkai provides viewers with human stories 好，所以在新海诚呢，它能让这些观众可以感受到什么？有一种 human stories， 就是那种非常非常具有人性的这种故事 that inspire people to feel deep emotions and imagine a different reality， 让人可以有机会去感受一下比较深层内在的情绪，而去想象一下截然不同的现实。
Do you watch these kind of movies in the theater, or do you prefer to watch these kind of movies, these animated features at home?
At home.
At home.
Because when I cry, sometimes I feel deeply touched, and when I cry, I don't need to worry about others.
I do that too. In fact, sometimes you watch something very touching and emotional. Like you're sitting on the MRT or you're on a bus and you're like, I cry. I don't want to cry in public today. Yeah, I do understand that. I do understand that feeling. I don't fight the tears.
Right,
so if I
exactly.
feel like I'm going to cry because something is touching or beautiful, I'll just cry. I don't
need to hold back my tears. So
you and I are like that. There's a lot of guys that will not feel comfortable with that. Yeah. So there's your comment for today. Do you cry in public or do you fight the tears?
That's right.
Like and subscribe. All right. Well, with that, we are out of time at Enjoy English School. We will catch you again a little bit later this month, right?
没错。
All right. For Enjoy English School, I'm Chris Gorski.
I'm Anthony.
And we'll see you real soon. Bye-bye.
Bye-bye.